Welcome to Navigating the Customer Experience. Want to improve your organization's customer service? Looking for insider tips to knock your customer socks off? Then you're in the right place. Here's your host, Yannick Grant.
Welcome to Navigating the Customer Experience. On our episode today, our guest is Naomi Garrick. Naomi is an author, international speaker, and personal branding coach that helps individuals, entrepreneurs, corporate executives, and CEOs discover, define, and develop their unique personal brand in order to effectively communicate their expertise and stand out in their craft or industry. She is also the founder of Garrick Communications, a boutique PR agency and a certified reputation champion by the Public Relations Society of America, with over 16 years of experience in public relations and marketing, working with over 100 brands and individuals, and co-founder of Emerge Personal Development Summit and Workshops. Naomi is passionate about helping people to see the greatness that sometimes they cannot see within themselves by helping individuals to identify or reinvent their unique personal brand in order to stand out in a noisy world. So plug in your earphones, turn up your volume, and let's dive right in to find out how you can create a fantastic personal brand with Naomi Garrick. All right, Naomi, so could you share with us a little bit about your journey, how it is that you got to where you are today? You are the PR chick, personal branding coach, so many different titles and themes that go according to your name. Can you share with us a little bit about that, and then we'll dive right into how we can dovetail that into customer experience?
Sure, no problem. So it's funny because a lot of people now know me as the PR chick, but I wasn't always known as the PR chick. I actually studied hotel and tourism management because I thought at the time that that's what I really wanted to do. And that's also because at that age, when you're deciding what you want to do in university, I wasn't quite sure. But my best friend was studying tourism. She was going to study tourism management, and people said I had the personality for the hospitality industry, and that's why I jumped into that space. But even after completing 4 years, I always ended up working in the marketing or sales side of the hospitality industry. But after being in that space for about 2.5 years, I realized a couple of things about myself. One, I really missed being around my family. Two, working in the hospitality industry is really a 24-hour industry, especially if you live on property at the hotel, which I did in the Grill. And so I came back to Kingston not really quite sure what I wanted to do next. And luckily, I had the opportunity to meet with a gentleman in Jamaica, Kimani Robinson, who had just launched RETV, which was Reggae Entertainment Television, which was really like the BET of the Caribbean, I would say, or MTV. And he, after speaking with me, he offered me an opportunity to be a sales and marketing coordinator, which then led to sales and marketing manager for almost 5 years. And it was during that stint with the company, someone else had approached me about doing some publicity work for an upcoming dancehall artist. And I was a little bit confused at the fact that he would ask me to do that because I really didn't do a lot of PR for RETV. It was more on the marketing and sales side. But he was so convinced that I am the person for this role. And so I said, okay, I'll try. And I remember walking to the nearest bookstore and getting all the books that I could find about being a publicist and public relations, because I knew some of the basics, but I really didn't know that much about the space. And I realized when I started and I did my first press release that because relationships is such a big driving force for me, I had really built these amazing relationships with the people behind the scenes, like the key decision makers in the media, the editors, the directors, the producers, the writers, the people that actually determine what we see, hear, and read in the media. And they saw me as a very credible source of information. And I had really good writing skills. I actually think that if I didn't study hospitality, I would have become a literature teacher. And so that's where I started doing PR work really for entertainers, so artists, upcoming artists, established artists. And I did that for a period of maybe about 1.5 years while I was still at RETV. And then I became pregnant with my son in 2005. And at that point, it's like my brain does this shift. And I was just like, I actually don't think this is the right space for me right now because being in the entertainment space, it required being out a lot at different types of events, at different types of hours in the
Mm-hmm.
morning and the night. And I didn't want to, I still went back to that original thought of wanting stability and flexibility to spend real quality time with my family. And being in that position, I wouldn't be able to do that. And so again, I started trying to figure out what's next for me. And even doing the PR work was great, but working with entertainers still put me in that space of entertainment,
Mm-hmm.
which wasn't very stable for me at the time. And so another opportunity came up where a new hotel was opening in Kingston, a boutique hotel. And as much as I thought I didn't want to go back into hospitality, there was an opportunity for the role of corporate communications manager. And I didn't have corporate communications experience, but I had hospitality experience and I had PR and media experience. And so I went ahead and I did the interview and I got the interview on the spot. But very quickly, after about 3 months again, I realized that, okay, hospitality really is not for me. I actually really love this PR thing, especially because now I had the opportunity to work in the lifestyle side of PR, which I really, really love.
Mm-hmm.
And so I made a very hard decision to just start my own company, Garrick Communications, and to just go head first into entrepreneurship without the savings, without a plan really. But I knew that I didn't want to work for anyone ever again.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started my company really with just me, my BlackBerry, a camera and a laptop, no office. And luckily, again, because of relationships, one of the media houses in Jamaica heard that I had started this journey on my own and offered to do a feature or a story about me, which ended up being the cover story for that publication. And that's what led to my first client. And to this day, we celebrated our 10th anniversary last year and we've never advertised our business.
Very good.
It has, yes, it's really just been through referrals, recommendations, and of course our results as well. And relationships, which is, as I said before, it's a massive driving force. 3 years ago, I started this new journey into personal branding and personal brand coaching. And that came out of being a part of an accelerator program for entrepreneurs. And one of the things that our coach had suggested was finding a way to make this nocturnal revenue or revenue in your sleep by putting in the effort one time. And the example she gave was a book. And I started first writing about PR and PR storytelling, but it just wasn't grabbing me and I couldn't get past chapter 1. And then literally, I remember watching something about using your experience and your skills to offer value and to serve others. And I woke up the following morning, like at about 3 o'clock, and I just had this idea that I have to write about personal branding, which is my personal journey to this point. Because even without the degree, it was the other skill sets or the other not so tangible things that really helped to propel my career over the last 15 to 17 years. And so I just started thinking about some of the steps that I took and I created a workbook. And now 3 years after that, I have 3 books. I'm a speaker. I am a coach. I do workshops. I just launched an online course. And I'm really stepping into this role of personal branding coach because as much as I love PR and I love my agents and I love my clients, I get so much fulfillment from what I do right now by really helping individuals to see the greatness within themselves that sometimes they just don't see, and then how best to communicate it to their ideal audience.
Awesome. Brilliant. So really, really an amazing, a fantastic journey. And you touched on something that basically dovetails into what we're all about in this program. And it was actually highlighted in a webinar that I did this morning with some customer service experts globally. One of the things one of the speakers said was people who are hired for social channels must have certain skill sets that may not have existed before. And you touch them both. They must be good writers and they must have public relation training. They are the voice of the company. So writing and PR training. And I mean, you said it. You said it not in the template of a training that you would have gone to or something you learned in school, but basically because these are skills that you would have had naturally as well as developed through the different experiences that you had that now materialize into a way that you can give back and help others.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, Naomi. So branding is it's a great buzzword. I see it on the internet all the time. And you can look at branding from different aspects. You have corporate brand and you have personal brand. Now, a client's experience with a brand is very, very important, and it can make or break your business. We've seen a lot of negative news floating around recently, both locally and internationally, when companies are not responsive, when they delete comments off of their social media pages, when they don't try to do things in a way that helps to enhance the customer's experience. What are maybe 2 or 3 things that you think a company can do to ensure that they maintain a strong brand in this, especially in this time that we're operating in, because the behavior of the customer is changing drastically. And when we come out of this pandemic, if people think they can operate how they were operating before, they really are making a sad mistake. So could you give us maybe 2 or 3 things that companies need to be doing if they're not doing it already?
Sure. So the first thing I would say is that every single member or employee of a company is actually the brand manager for that company. Every single person plays a role, because every contact point that we have with a member of an organization or a company or a brand can actually make or break our relationship or our experience or our views about that company or brand. And so, like, I would tell my clients that even the first person that you meet, which sometimes is the security guard at an establishment, especially here in Jamaica, sometimes just the way they greet you can throw off your entire mood as you are getting prepared for a meeting with someone in that organization. Or
True.
it can completely lift your spirits and you end up having a super successful meeting just because your energy levels have changed, just because of a very short 1 to 2 minute interaction and engagement. Your employees actually become the spokespeople for your company, because when there is a crisis, a lot of times they're going to say, hey, let me pick up the phone and speak to my friend or this person that I know works at this organization. And so communication to me would be also extremely key. And you start as a company first with your internal customers, which are your employees. Because a lot of times when there's a crisis, sometimes your employees are hearing about it for the first time in the news or on Twitter, right? And that should not be the case, because if someone asks them, they should be able to have some kind of response that has been discussed with the company, so they also know what to say if they are approached by just a friend, by an individual, or by a client, or by the media. Because we all become these media/brand managers for that company as well. Another thing that I would say, because I know you said 2 to 3, is transparency, because now we live in this digital world where we can find information about everybody and information is shared so quickly. So you want to ensure that if there is some kind of crisis, that one, you are ahead of that story. Even if you don't have a complete response yet, it's important to just acknowledge, use the same channels that the story came out. So if something came out about your brand or company on Twitter, that's where you need to respond first. And then you can use your other channels to respond. And that's why so many companies now post press releases through their social media channels first before even sharing with the media, so that individuals know that this is what we had to say about this particular incident. This is our stance, and we will continue to update you as we get more information. So it's very important to lead the story instead of you trying to play catch up now and to address things that may not even have been real or related, but it's just because you've allowed the media or you've allowed individuals to create the story because you're not being a part of the storytelling process.
Right.
And so timeliness, I think, would be the last thing. Have to respond in a timely manner. We cannot be taking 24 hours or 2 days or a week to respond to something, even if it's not a crisis. And as I said, if you don't have the full answer yet, say that. Say, this is the situation. This is what we know right now. We are addressing this, and we will have an update for you within 24 hours or in the next 2 hours, or continue to follow us on our social media platforms for the latest update on this situation. And I think that's where we go wrong a lot of the times, is we don't respond immediately.
Right. Agreed.
And then we end up with that no comment thing, which I think is like the worst thing ever.
So
Because then when you say no comment, it's kind of like people feel that you're hiding something or like you are actually in the wrong.
True. They will definitely assert to negative rather than
Yes.
positive.
Agreed. And they create their own stories.
Exactly, which is not what you want.
Which is not what you want. Yes.
So your first was communication, second was transparency, and third was
timeliness. So I think the first one is really just acknowledging that we're all brand managers for whatever company or brand that we work for. So we all have a responsibility to carry the correct message, which would lead then to communication. Yes.
Excellent. So it's very important for us to focus on all these areas to ensure that our customer experience is one in which is positive. Now, all brands are there. Everybody is looking for the same thing: customer loyalty, customer retention, positive word of mouth advertising, testimonials. And unfortunately, even though there are opportunities for you to pay for some of these things, if it's done organically and it's being done from a place of authenticity, your customers are really your best marketing tool, right?
Absolutely.
So in a case where, let us say, the story got ahead of you and you were not able to do any damage control, what are some of the things that you think an organization should do in order to recover their reputation? Because one of your R's in your book, as I did the course, is reputation, right?
Yeah.
Reputation matters on and offline. So tell us now, how can you recover that reputation if it is that, it's been masked, there's been damage to it online? Because as you said, social media is a public space. And the way how things are going now is, gone are the days where customer service is driven by what you say about your company. It's not what your customers say about your company. So how would you manage that reputation if you realize that it's becoming tarnished and people are saying negative things?
Sure. So one, I would say that reputation, so personal branding is really your reputation, right? People think it's this new buzzword, but it's not. It is your reputation. And as you said, your reputation matters so much more. So even now, I like to quote Warren Buffett, where he says it takes 20 years to build a reputation and only 5 minutes to ruin it. And if we think about that, we do things differently. But in this digital world, I mean, you can ruin a reputation in seconds, with a tweet, a screenshot, a voice note, a video. It can go viral. So, but the great thing is that viralness can also help us to correct a situation. So we have a great opportunity with social media platforms to really get our message out there in a very quick way. So yes, maybe we missed the original mark and we were behind with responding to a crisis, or there really was something that we were involved with that left not such a pleasant taste with our loyal fans or customers. And that's why it goes back to those tips that I had recommended earlier, that timeliness of response and being authentic and genuine with your audience and your customers. And so I would recommend even not just doing a static press release, but doing a video.
Nice.
Letting them see you, feel your emotions, to show that you care and you actually took the time to sit down and do this. You, the CEO and owner of the company, not your corporate communications manager, not your director of public relations, but you, the person. Because I honestly believe with leadership, when things go right for the company, it's the leader of the company. When things go wrong with the company, it's the leader of the company. And so that's a time when a leader really needs to step to the plate and get in front of those cameras and really share what is really happening. Show empathy, show that you care, especially if you're in the wrong, and you're in the wrong. Apologize, acknowledge the situation, apologize for it. These are the steps we're taking to make sure this never happens again. Good. And this is what we're doing with our team to ensure that we have things in place to mitigate a situation like this in the future. So it's almost like you let them in to become a part of the process. And you can even open it up to say, if you have any ideas that you believe would be helpful to us during this time, please don't hesitate to email me directly. And you give them your personal email address so that they can they can reach out to you and you respond to them.
Yeah.
That's how you retain that loyalty from those customers, those raving fans that you had that were your ideal audience, because they're the ones now that will speak to this new experience and say, I'm starting to have second thoughts about this company because this happened. But then when I got this email with this letter from, the owner of the company and, he asked for our opinion and our help, it made me feel good, and it felt like this was a brand that I still wanted to support.
Agreed. Agreed. Brilliant. Excellent answer, Naomi. And I
Thank
think
you.
many of our listeners that listen to the podcast have small businesses. Some of them are part of large entities as well, play very significant roles. And so reputation is very important, especially during this time. As you said, empathy is so, so critical. And I like the fact that you said that, they put themselves out there and put their own email or contact number or whatever it was so that the client can actually reach in touch with them. It shows that they're making themselves a part of the solution. So it's not them trying to fix it, the team trying to fix it, but I am a part of this solution as well. And I'm committed to it, and I'm here to hold your hand and walk you through it to make sure that we both come out on the positive end of this. So I really, really love that response.
Yannick, at the end of the day, we just want to connect, right? We're all human beings and we crave connection, significance. And, I speak about this all the time that, Tony Robbins says that people are not in the business of buying goods and services. They're in the business of feeling and connection and emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what draws us to a brand or a company more than the actual product or the cost of the product, or even the service that you provide, but it's the experience that you create with different people when they meet you or they engage with your product or they engage with your team.
Mm-hmm. And they buy you. They buy you before they buy the product or service.
Absolutely.
So it's important for you to ensure that you are being very genuine about whatever you're doing, because people can pick up if you're being fake. It comes over in your tone of voice, your body language, how you respond. As you said, you send somebody a message and you said to yourself, but I know they got the message. I know they saw the message. They've been in this application quite a few times after I've sent the message, and they haven't even acknowledged that they got the message to give a response. People pay attention to those things.
Funny. So today, of course, because I celebrated Brand Day last week on my birthday.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you. I've gotten so many emails, messages, everything. And so I'm just using this week to start going through, and I noticed that a colleague of mine had sent me an email probably on Saturday. Today is Friday. I had not responded yet because I'm still going through. But what I did was I was like, let me send her a quick WhatsApp just to let her know that I see her email and I will respond by end of day today. And she responded right away because she was like, I was starting to wonder what was happening. So I really appreciate the fact that you sent me this message. So sometimes it's as simple as that, and people don't know what you're going through. So they just wouldn't assume that it's because I'm trying to respond to everybody's email. They may think that I just don't have the time to respond to them.
Or you don't care.
Or you don't care. And I care about everybody because everybody that I interact with, I want to create a positive experience with them. Even if it's not to buy a product or service, because it's me.
Yeah.
And so when she responded, I was like, I knew I was doing the right thing. Your gut tells you something. And I saw this. I flagged things in my email that I haven't read yet. And I saw the purple flag and I was like, I am going to message her right now so that she knows that I didn't just see your email and not respond.
Yeah, it really goes a very far way. And it's always the little things. It's always the little things that go a very far way. All right, Naomi. So can you tell us, how do you stay motivated every day?
Well, I will tell you that I don't stay motivated every day. That would be that would absolutely be the honest answer, especially during right now. There are some days where I don't have the energy. Honestly, I need to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God I have a child, and that's what actually gets me out of bed some mornings. So he is a big motivator for me. But also I lean into a couple of things when I need motivation. So my morning routine helps a lot with that because I start off using intention cards to just set my intention for the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I get up early every morning and I just need the quiet time to really sit down and not really do any work, but I'll listen to a podcast, like maybe your podcast. I listen to a podcast, or I'll listen to a positive meditation or something to just start the day right with a great cup of coffee.
Nice.
That's very important to me to set the tone. But also, my tribe is very, very important to me. And I have different types of tribes. I have, a tribe of girlfriends where, my close friends from high school. But I also have a tribe of entrepreneurial women in business who I will lean to during a time like this, because we are going through a similar experience together, and just sitting down and talking to each other, we get to share ideas, share experiences. You know, it's not you alone, and we're always motivating and encouraging each other. So that is very, very important to me. And, you know, my colleagues and I, Rochelle and Catherine, we talk about, you know, your circle of genius all the time. Who do you let into that space? One of the things I also do for my motivation is I'm not on social media very often. So I'm on it very purposefully because I don't want to come across maybe a post or something that's shared that maybe gives me a sense of anxiety. Because sometimes I'll go online and I see other people in my field of knowledge sharing doing the most, right? They're doing all these amazing things every single day. And for me, I get a little bit anxious because then I start thinking, am I not doing enough?
Yeah.
Why am I not doing all these things? And so actually one of the purposeful things I started doing was actually muting some of my friends, some of the people that I follow, so that I'm not bombarded with that as I get up in the morning. And so I really go online when I'm ready to share or to respond to queries or questions that are on my pages. And so I've had to like create those social media boundaries for myself to keep my own motivation up. And the last thing I would say is that I read a lot. So I'm always reading and learning from other people's experiences. So
Very
that
good.
really helps to keep motivation up for sure.
Very good. Very good. All right, Naomi. So tell us now, maybe you could share with us one online resource, tool, website, or app that you absolutely cannot live without in your business.
That's Canva. So I don't have graphic design skills. I come from a very creative family, but that gene skipped to me. Canva allows me to be a graphic designer. So I use Canva for everything, for my social media posts, for my ebooks, for my onboarding emails to my coaching clients, for my proposals, for my backdrops. I just saw today that they have, you can customize your Zoom backdrops using Canva. They have a template for that now. So like it is what I use to do all of my branding. So I usually have someone create a really great piece of branding for me in the form of my logo. And then I just utilize the brand colors to now use Canva to create my own content that I can use on all my digital media pages, my website, YouTube channels, and just for promotional material for my business, or just basic information and creating content.
Great.
So
great.
Canva is definitely my go-to. It's free. And if you pay for the pro version, I believe it's like $12 a month. It's worth it.
Yeah, agreed. Canva is amazing. So we will have the link to Canva in the show notes of this episode. All right, Naomi. So when we were talking about how you stay motivated every day, one of the things you shared was that you love to read. So our next question is, could you share with us maybe 2 or 3 books that have had the biggest impact on you? And I know you have plenty because I saw you do some book giveaway a few weeks ago. So maybe you could share with us 2 or 3 that you think, you know, are just like, they're like ninja books. When we read them, it will just cause us to do action activities.
But as you said, there's so many. But my 2 favorite books are The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho.
Right.
And that's really just about tapping into your purpose and really just understanding that your journey makes you who you are, right? And that's how you that's how you develop your personal legend by just starting with you. So I love that. And I actually listen to audibles as well. And I read the physical book, but I also listen to the audibles sometimes when I need just a little bit of motivation. And then the second one is A Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes, because that book literally changed my life in 2017. And that's really about starting to say yes to everything, the things that scare you the most, because they lead to so many opportunities for your life. And so Shonda shares her story about how, you know, one Thanksgiving, her sister was saying that she doesn't say yes to anything. And like, for example, at that time, she hired a publicist and his job was to tell people that she can't attend an event.
Wow.
Or she can't speak at an event because she just would not do those things. And then, so her first real big speaking event was a graduation ceremony. I mean, that clip is still on YouTube because it's her most powerful thing to date. And speaking engagement. And that just led her to so many opportunities to speak, to lose weight, to do all the things she was scared to do, really. And it just transformed her life. And so for me, 2017 became my year of yes. And that's when my life also changed in a very positive way.
Very good.
And then I would also say any book by Tim Ferriss, if you're a business person, is great.
Yeah.
The 4-Hour Work Week is amazing. Now is a great time actually to be reading that book, because we're all kind of living in this 4-Hour Work Week life right now with this pandemic, and he shows you how to do it the right way. But he also has these 2 big books, The Tribe of Mentors.
Brilliant.
And that's amazing. And he has another one, I can't remember right now, but there are 2 massive books. And what it is a collection of tips, tools, books, all kinds of information from like hundreds of people, whether it's authors, celebrities, cooks, athletes, all kinds of individuals just sharing their tips on their morning routine, lessons learned, favorite book to give away. And so it's just like this massive book of awesomeness.
Great resources that some parts of it must resonate with you and help to advance you in some way.
Absolutely. And some things you see you just never thought about.
Yeah, true.
Until you read it.
That's true.
So it's really great. Love it.
It's almost like a BFO, a blinding flash of the obvious. It's not that you've never seen it before, but just because of how it was positioned or reframed, you're like, wow, I should be doing that. I think if I did that, it would definitely.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I completely agree.
And because they break it down in just a very normal human way. So, and then you're like, oh, but I know this person. And if he did this, then maybe I could try and do this too.
True. Very true.
So I think that makes a difference too, that, realizing that, oh, but if he did it and this was his success story, they say success leaves clues. So
it does.
It's a whole clues.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, Naomi, what's one thing that's going on in your life right now that you're really excited about? Either something that you're working on to develop yourself or your people?
Okay, well, I'll say 2 things. One, during this time, I've discovered that I'm an expert banana bread baker. So I should
put in my order.
Oh, yeah. I've started baking banana bread like literally on a weekly basis. And I just bake them to give away to people, actually.
Oh, wow.
So
lovely.
I went there. So I've been on Amazon a little bit too much during this time, but I bought these little mini baking tins so now when I do a batch, I can actually do 5 small mini banana breads, and I keep one for my house, and then I give away the rest to my friends or my neighbors. And it just makes me feel good. My son is very annoyed because he thinks I should sell them, but that's not why I bake it. It's actually one of my coping mechanisms during this time. It just puts me in a different place, and I love when people call me back to say how delicious the banana bread was.
Nice, so, very nice.
Banana Bread Chronicles. And then also, I finally launched my online course on building a personal brand, and it's something I should have done 2 years ago, but I never had the time. And so I've taken this time to finally sit down and build the course. It's 18 modules with coaching videos and worksheets, and I'm really, really excited about it. And the feedback I've been getting from individuals that signed up for the course last week has been so great. And I love that I can actually see their progress in the course and respond to them in real time if they're having challenges. So I'm really, really proud of that. It's 2 years in the making, and COVID forced me to buckle down and launch it. So I'm really, really excited about it.
Very good. So we'll also have the link for Naomi's online course on building a personal brand in the show notes of this episode, so that you guys can definitely tap into that, either from a company perspective or from an individual perspective. There's always room for improvement.
Absolutely.
Okay, Naomi. So our listeners listen to this podcast. They're like, this woman is awesome. She is the real deal. Where can they find you online if they wanted to connect with you further?
Oh, I hope they really say that. That's very nice of you, Jenny. So you can find me on my website. It's iamnaomigarrick.com. I'm also on LinkedIn as Naomi Garrick, and on Instagram, Naomi Garrick or the PR Chick.
All right. Very good. So we'll also have links to all of those digital platforms that Naomi is on in the show notes of this episode. So before we wrap up completely, Naomi, one of the things we'll always like to ask our guests is, what is one quote or saying that during times of adversity or stress or any form of obstacle that you may be faced with, you tend to draw on this quote or saying because it kind of helps to keep you refocused or to get you refocused so that you can achieve your goal or get your mind back set on what you need to achieve?
Sure. So my favorite quote, and I speak about it all the time, is the journey is the reward. And it's a Chinese proverb. And really, it just reminds us that everything that has happened in our lives, the good things and the bad things, the things that we don't like, things that we don't want to acknowledge and accept, are actually the things that make us this person that we are today. And without those experiences, we wouldn't be who we are in this moment.
True.
And so I think a lot of times we get very flustered thinking about the future, and we get anxiety and we don't know what's next, or we haven't achieved the goals that we wanted in our lives right now, without remembering to look back on all the things that got us to this point. And yes, COVID-19 is one big challenge, and we're in a pandemic, but you can think back. I'm sure every individual must have had something in their life that happened, some kind of challenge that they were able to overcome.
Yeah.
And so it just reminds you that we will get over this. When, I'm not sure, but there are lessons to be learned during this time. Find the lessons in the journey, and then just accept that this is just making you the person that you are meant to become.
Agreed. Love it. The journey is the reward. All right. Yes. Well, thank you so much, Naomi, for taking time out of your very busy day to sit here with us and share with our audience.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
We really appreciate it. And we wish you all the very best in your future endeavors. And I genuinely hope that all of our listeners will be able to connect with you, embracing some of your books that are available on Amazon, which we'll also have in the show notes of this episode, and even engage in your new online course that will help to make them that much better and just create a better world where people are communicating, responding, and just offering real and true value. It will definitely help to enhance all of our experiences in the world.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Yannick, and continue doing what you're doing. This is amazing.
Thank you. So until next time, I'm your host, Yannick Grant. Thank you for listening to Navigating the Customer Experience. If you'd like to connect with us even more, please feel free to hop onto Facebook and join our private Facebook group, Navigating the Customer Experience Community. And of course, feel free to follow us on Twitter at NavigatingCX. We also have a new book available on Amazon, The ABCs of a Fantastic Customer Experience. It's available in ebook and paperback. So if you want to increase revenue in your organization, build a stronger service culture, and create employees or develop employees who are really mastering service delivery in your business, you need to grab a copy of this book. Until next time, I'm your host, Yannick Grant.
Thanks for listening. For more awesome resources to take your customer service game to another level, head over to navigatingthecustomerexperience.com. See you next time.